So the story begins with American surgeon Matthews and his spotter Isaac being displayed. It was the year 2007 when America had won the war in Iraq. Hence, the President of the United States had resumed the pipeline construction underway in Iraq, but terrorists in Iraq were still killing Americans. They had also killed the people working at this pipeline site. Before sending new builders to the site, the government had sent Matthews and Isaac to eliminate the terrorists. Here, Matthews and Isaac are hiding behind bushes and rocks, keeping an eye on the site. 20 hours pass by, but they don't spot anyone. Then Matthews says to Isaac, "I think there are no Iraqi soldiers left on the site." Also, viewing the bodies there, he surmises that Iraqi soldiers had killed their people and left. Therefore, now there would be no one at the site. Isaac says that there are no signs of an Iraqi group far and wide here, and all our workers have been shot in the head, which could be the work of Iraqi professional sniper Juba. However, Matthews thinks that no sniper could kill so many people together in 30 seconds, after which Matthews gets tired of waiting for the sniper. Therefore, he tells Isaac to cover him and goes down to check. Then Isaac explains that he cannot see clearly in his scope, which means he will not be able to cover him. Upon hearing this, Matthews mockingly suggests that he should change his gun. But the gun was very precious to Isaac because it belonged to his deceased comrade. Meanwhile, Matthews sees that everyone has been killed with a headshot, which makes him believe in what Isaac said, that it was Juba who killed everyone. After that, Matthews goes to the center of the site to figure out where Juba was hiding when he shot the people. But he tells him to back off because he suspects that Juba is still hiding somewhere. Suddenly, someone shoots at him from above, causing him to fall to the ground. Seeing this, Isaac dodges the bullets to save his partner. But then, the sniper shoots Isaac in the leg, injuring him as well, so he hides behind a broken wall to save his life. Here, Isaac tells Matthews that if he moves, he will be shot, so keep pretending to be dead quietly, on which Matthews tells him to call for backup as soon as possible. The leg was bleeding profusely, so he ties a belt around it to stop the bleeding, after which he picks up his radio bag to contact the army base. However, he sees that his radio is damaged, and upon checking, he finds out that the sniper has shot the antenna of the radio, rendering it useless. Throughout this period, Matthews directs Isaac to pinpoint the sniper's position to prepare a shot. He cautions that the marksman is observant of even the slightest motion, and any attempt to act could prompt him to fire. There, Isaac attempts to carve out a small opening in the wall, using his blade to spot the sniper using his scope. Unfortunately, the wall's bricks give way, causing harm to his hand. He faints right there from blood loss. Meanwhile, Isaac removes the bullet from his leg with a blade, causing him immense pain, but somehow manages to bandage the wound. However, he faints from the pain. Sometime later, when he wakes up, he hears a strange noise from his earpiece, which upon checking, he realizes is the voice of an officer from their base. Therefore, he immediately calls them for help, but the officer starts asking Isaac strange questions, which makes Isaac suspicious. Just then, the officer says that they can't see your location, so you'll need to stand and fire into the air so we can bring the helicopter to you. Isaac replies that it's against our protocol, and doing so could put us at risk. Following that, Isaac listens carefully to what the officer is saying. Then he realizes that the voice he's hearing isn't from an officer with an American accent. This makes Isaac understand that the sniper Juba has hacked his radio and is pretending to be an officer. Therefore, he no longer believes what he's saying. Meanwhile, Juba starts asking him questions, saying that he wants to get to know him better. Isaac tries to fix his radio again, but it's still not working. During this time, Juba keeps asking Isaac pointless questions, which Isaac refuses to answer. Then Juba says, "If you don't talk to me, I intend to target your injured ally." Thus, Isaac consents to have a dialogue with him. Meanwhile, Isaac makes a map on the ground to pinpoint the location of Juba. It's then that Juba reveals he is not a soldier, but a normal person who wants to save his country. He starts asking Isaac about his family, to which Isaac responds that it's a personal question, and he will not answer it, mockingly adding that Juba is killing those who are building schools and pipelines to develop his country and improve its economy. Listening to this, Juba chuckles and mentions that any funds expended here, they are committed to returning them to the United States. As time progresses, Juba inquires frequently, but Isaac declines to respond to private questions, leading Juba to intimidate by threatening to harm Matthews once more. Now that Isaac realized Juba was capable of going to any extent, he becomes ready to respond to his queries. When Juba asks Isaac who the real owner of the scope he possesses was and how did they die, Isaac is taken aback upon hearing this because only he and Matthews knew about that scope. Here, Isaac realizes that ever since they arrived, Juba had been eavesdropping on their conversations. Meanwhile, using his scope, he begins to survey his surroundings. Then he observes a radio next to an expired body, so he approaches the wall's brink and attempts to retrieve it using a branch, yet he cannot grasp it. Subsequently, Isaac experiences thirst and endeavors to sip water from his flask, only to notice a puncture in it, causing the depletion of his water supply. Upon this, Juba tells him that he had intentionally shot his bottle so that he would die of thirst and also shot at his antenna so that he couldn't call for any help. Moreover, he reveals that he wanted Isaac's death to be slow and painful, which is why he had shot him in the leg. Everyone's eyes fall on the bullet Isaac had removed from his foot. Isaac closely examines the bullet and tries to discern from the model of the gun Juba might have, while also stating that Juba is a terrorist, to which Juba laughs and responds that it's not him, but Isaac and his people who are the terrorists, as they came to his country to fight and kill his people. Meanwhile, Isaac deduces from his calculations that Juba is hiding in a pile of trash. Therefore, he attempts to locate him using his scope, contemplating how Juba has been concealed in the trash for a long time in such heat, indicating that he must be a very professional shooter, despite Juba's protest that he's not a sniper, but a normal person. Isaac further suspects from the accent of Juba's speech that he might have been an officer in the American army and is now betraying and killing them, to which Juba clarifies that isn't the case. He only kills those who attack his people first. Here, Isaac tells her his story, saying that when he was young, he made friends with Dean, who was the best person. Then, as they grew up, both joined the army together. Actually, the scope Isaac has belonged to his friend Dean, which he has kept with him since Dean's death. Anyway, then due to Isaac's thirst and fatigue, his condition starts to deteriorate. At that point, Juba tells him that when you die, I will cut your tongue and place it on your chest. After hearing Zuba's words, Isaac faints. Then, when he comes to his senses, he attaches a jacket and helmet to his rifle and starts waving the rifle over the wall to deceive Zuba. However, Zuba is not fooled by his trick. Just then, Isaac's helmet accidentally falls on the other side of the wall. As a result, Isaac can no longer protect his head, making him very sad. Time passes in this way, but Isaac does not give up. Afterwards, he manages to dodge Zuba's bullets, goes to a dead body nearby, picks up a bag and radio, and returns behind the wall. He discovers water and a few sweets in the bag, which he promptly consumes. However, upon inspecting the radio, he learns it's also non-functional. At the same time, Juba fires at a barrier, irreparably damaging Isaac's scope. Then he detects a sound through his headset, recognizing it as Matthews' voice, indicating he has survived. After which, Isaac tells Matthews that the sniper is hiding in a pile of trash. Hearing this, Matthews uses a piece of glass to look at the trash pile and then starts moving slowly to pick up his rifle so that Juba can see him. Meanwhile, Isaac keeps talking to Juba to keep his attention on him. Then, Isaac learns that Juba was a teacher, and when the American army attacked his country, all his students were killed. So he is killing all the Americans in revenge. Isaac also realizes that he is hidden behind the wall which was Juba's school, completely destroyed in the war. Juba questions why Isaac still keeps that damaged scope, but Isaac refuses to answer. Juba then threatens to shoot Matthews again, so to save him, Isaac reveals that the scope belonged to his friend Dean, whose death he caused and for which he still holds himself responsible. In fact, Isaac deeply regrets Dean's death and kept the scope in memory of him. Matthews grabs his rifle and begins firing at a heap of garbage as Isaac discharges rounds into the sky to distract Juba's focus from Matthews. However, as Matthews reloads his weapon, Juba takes a shot, striking him in the shoulder. Subsequently, Matthews proceeds towards Isaac in an effort to preserve his own life, with Isaac repositioning to aid him. In a tragic turn, Juba fires once more, fatally wounding Matthews with a shot to the head. On the spot, Matthews is killed. Isaac feels utterly devastated by Matthews' demise and conveys to Juba a desire to return home. Juba reassures Isaac, stating that should he wish to depart, he will not fire upon him. Nevertheless, Isaac harbors distrust towards Juba's promise and opts to remain concealed behind the barrier. "I am longing to return home," upon which Juba proposes a bargain. "Continue to narrate your tale, and you shall not face my gunfire." Thus, he begins to recount his narrative, confessing to being the one behind Dean's demise. The truth unfolds as Isaac recounts the harrowing error where, aiming for an adversary, he accidentally struck Dean instead, subsequently concocting a tale of terrorist responsibility. As Isaac confides in Juba, his attention is momentarily captured by the chatter of thieves intercepted on his radio. Therefore, he quickly goes to the radio where his base people were trying to contact him. Hearing his comrades' voices, he becomes very happy. But then he realizes that his radio is completely broken and he won't be able to contact anyone anymore. Just then, Isaac hears the voice of Juba calling out for help from the base using Isaac's name. Hearing this, Isaac understands that Juba had been there for quite some time and had purposely hacked their radio to call for backup and then easily kills them after luring the site's people into a trap. It was Juba who had called for the backup team. That's why the base had sent Isaac and Matthews there. In this way, Juba was trapping and killing Americans. Overcome by fatigue, Isaac passes out again. After some time, a crow lands on his wounded leg and starts to peck at it, causing Isaac immense pain and waking him up. Using a rope, he manages to lift Matthews' rifle and begins to aim at a pile of rubbish. Meanwhile, he hears the sound of a helicopter approaching. He hurried to assist, fully aware that his associate might be ensnared by Zuba's ploy. In an effort to protect his allies, he demolishes a barrier, causing a cloud of dust to rise, effectively obscuring them from Zuba's gaze. Isaac then rises to his feet, discharging his weapon into the debris, realizing that Zuba isn't responding with gunfire, leading him to the conclusion that he might have eliminated Zuba. While this occurs, helicopters swoop in, swiftly transferring him onto a stretcher for immediate evacuation. As Isaac struggles to communicate to them to inspect the debris for Zuba prior to departure, his voice is drowned out amidst the clamor of the rotor blades. In an unforeseen turn of events, Zuba commences firing at the helicopter, methodically targeting and eliminating the soldiers, culminating in a catastrophic crash that results in the tragic demise of Isaac in the ensuing calamity. At the end of the story, Zuba hacks into the lines of the USA again and calls in another backup team pretending to be an American soldier asking for help, meaning when the backup team arrives, Zuba will kill them too. And with that, this amazing movie comes to an end.